here. I mean, let's talk into some of these.
These
coaching hires.
Yeah.
There's 2 jobs left. You have the Seahawks are looking for a new coach, and I think if I had to take a guess who's going to get that job, I think we both can agree who we think is Dan Quinn.
I still think it's Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the right hire or not.
I think it's the right hire for now.
It makes sense.
It's the one that makes the most sense.
I don't know how great of a head coach Dan Quinn is. I also don't know how great of a D coordinator he really was.
Yeah,
the Cowboys defense turned the ball over a decent amount and was decent, but you're going to Seattle and they don't have that level of talent.
No.
I mean, I don't think Trayvon Diggs was great, but he didn't play this year.
And
but
can Dan Quinn
bring the ball over?
Can Dan Quinn bring the right mind in with him to get the offense running right? I mean, that team just screams rebuild here for me coming soon.
Coming soon, yeah, but it's one of them things they're in a weird position to where they're not bad enough to commit to the rebuild, and they're not good enough to
make it to the next step.
This one I'll relay in. I'm a big Pens fan in the NHL, and we're in the same situation. Like we're not really good enough to compete. We're an older team, but you have Sidney Crosby. You can't fucking piss him away and do that to it. But I feel like the Seahawks are in a weird thing. Like they have a lot of receiver talent. They've got some pieces on defense. Obviously with Witherspoon and Reek Woolen, who's decent.
Yeah.
People seem to be a lot higher on him. We'll get into this a little bit later.
Yeah,
I was.
Yeah,
he's one of the worst tackling corners I've ever seen.
Yeah. And Seattle fans are mad at me for making. I made the fucking Seattle pick, by the way. So you guys just fuck off.
We'll touch on that after.
We don't know who the hell's going to get picked where. It's fucking 1.0 mock draft. You fucking psychos.
Yeah, but apparently Seattle fans are very high on him. Witherspoon, I think, is good, but it's not really any edge rushers there. Seattle's tough. It's like they're a playoff team.
Yeah.
They're not really a playoff team, but they're a borderline playoff team. But they're not a Super Bowl contender, and they're not really bad enough to commit to a full rebuild.
Yeah, and who plays quarterback there going forward? Obviously, I don't think Geno Smith got about maybe another year or 2 years left. I think maybe next year might be his last year as a quarterback there. Yeah, maybe one more year after that, but you can't commit to him for the next.
It's a weird situation in Seattle, and obviously with running Pete out, I don't know. It doesn't sit well with Pete running Pete out. Yeah. Pete was a hell of a fun coach for them, and I feel like they did him awfully dirty to not release him to really give him the chance to go coach somewhere else. They were going to make him an advisor or whatever the bullshit they're telling him. Yeah. And I think that's tough. I really think that's the only open job. I think you could. Yeah, I don't want to say pencil Ben Johnson in for the Commanders. You can write that shit in pen.
Yeah, I thought there were only two jobs that Ben Johnson was going to consider, mostly when that was the Falcons because of the offensive talent that they already have there, and they're pretty much a quarterback away. And the Falcons probably would be willing to move up there from their 8th pick, give up a pick next year to get a guy that of Ben Johnson's choice. Or you just go to the Commanders, who have a brand new owner that obviously is bringing some change to the city. They might not be the Commanders much longer. Who knows if they change their name?
Hopefully. Terrible name.
Yeah. They got a great new GM, in my opinion. I think Adam Peters should have been hired fucking 4 years ago as a GM because, obviously he's helped build one of the best rosters in football.
Does he keep the enemy?
I don't believe so. I think the enemy, not Ben Johnson. I think they run completely different offenses. I think Ben Johnson keeps, probably brings one of his guys with him. Probably bring like a quarterback coach or an offensive assistant from. If he's going to hire an OC, he probably will. He'll probably call the plays though.
Yeah,
as a seed, but I think that's a great. I think he's in a great position where he's at. And we'll see what they end up doing as far as quarterback goes. It all depends. The Bears have the keys to the draft. So yeah, it all depends. Who does Ben Johnson want as his quarterback? Does Ben Johnson want Drake May or Jaden Daniels, or does he want to move and get Caleb Williams?
I don't know if I see Washington moving to one. I don't. And honestly, we mocked Drake May there last week to it, and I still think it's very plausible, but I'm I'm starting to lean they go more Jaden Daniels. Yeah. That's starting to feel.
I've been
where
seeing more
my thought
movement in
process
Drake
too.
May maybe popping like as a third quarterback.
Yeah, and I think it's very possible, which feels very Justin Herbert-y to me, and that's my call on him.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the kind of
I think
very
Drake May
similar
and
projection.
obviously I think obviously every quarterback wants to fall into the best position for them. I think it's very important for Drake May's career that he goes into a good situation, because I think if he goes to the Commanders don't have a whole lot of talent there. They have McLaurin, they got Jahan Dotson. Their offensive line's not great. Defense isn't great. So I mean, they're like Drake May's gonna have to go in and make some fucking throws and just
is that a better situation than the alternative going to New England with no receivers really?
I mean,
both their tight ends are free agents, so who knows what they do there. The offensive line's dog shit.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think the Commanders is a better situation.
I do too.
But I think Jaden Daniels would handle. Yeah, sorry.
That hurts.
Yeah. I think Jaden Daniels might be able to handle the bad situation, the worst situation, a little bit better.
Yeah.
Like, I think if Jaden Daniels goes to New England, I think he'll be able to handle that better than Drake May will. Because Jaden Daniels is a little bit more playmaking availability.
He moves better.
Like, obviously.
Drake May moves pretty well, too.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously Drake May could, like, he would benefit going somewhere that has a quarterback in place already. Like, that maybe they're getting ready to move on from. Like, Drake May, and, like, I could see him really succeeding in a place like Vegas, Denver, Seattle, places like that where they have somebody that they're not going to start a rookie next year, but they can sit for a little bit.
Yeah, I don't see him getting out of the top three.
Yeah, obviously I don't either. But if somebody goes down and
get back to the coaches here, obviously the big news of the week was Harbaugh going to the Chargers. I think it's a great signing. I thought really the only two people who made sense for me to go to the Chargers was Bill or Jim Harbaugh.
That one hurts me a little bit. I wanted Harbaugh to be the Broncos coach last year. And obviously, I mean, the last 2 years, Harbaugh's gotten attention. 2 years ago, the Vikings pushed for him really hard before they hired O'Connell. Mm-hmm. They tried to hire him. They decided to stay in college. Last year, Denver's owner flew to Michigan and offered him the job.
Yeah.
And he decided to stay.
Yeah, I think he decided to stay because he knew he was going to cheat out of his ass in college football and try to go win a natty and then have it revoked, most likely, in my opinion. So
he jumped at the right time.
Jumped.
We all knew he was leaving this year. After all that
knew
shit,
he was leaving this year with all the sanctions coming down.
I did see he tried to renegotiate his contract with Michigan, but he wanted in the contract that Michigan, he wouldn't receive any penalty for Michigan getting sanctioned, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
they're getting sanctioned. It's just how bad.
Yeah. Now Sharon Moore, that's another hire there. Sharon Moore got hired there.
That's a good hire.
I think it's the right hire. 100%. I don't think there was any other hire you could have made.
Yeah, that guy generally gives a shit, and he is a pretty solid coach.
Yeah, he loves Michigan. He loves the guys. Yeah. Guys want to play for him.
Yeah, and he beat nobody. Like, he beat some decent teams in there too. So. I agree. That's the right hire for both of them. Obviously the Chargers and then Michigan taking
Sharon Moore, thinking about it, he probably beat the hardest part of the schedule. He beat Ohio State, didn't he? Wasn't he on the field?
He was beat Penn State.
I thought he beat Ohio State too, because Harbaugh was out the last 4 games, right?
First 4.
Both the last 4. But anyway, he's still a good coach. He played. He beat good teams. It's not like he beat nobody.
He missed the end of the season.
Yeah, so
the first 4, and he got suspended.
I thought he missed the Ohio State.
He did. Yeah, you are right on that. I think both college and pro team there did the right thing, which doesn't happen a lot in professional sports. But then let's talk about the Dave Canales to the Panthers.
Didn't see that one coming.
I didn't either.
I think I said a couple weeks ago on the show, I could see the Panthers making just a weird move that nobody can see coming.
We both said that.
I didn't think it'd be this guy. I thought this job seemed very Brian Callahan-y, very Eric Bieniemy, maybe Lovie Smith. Like, who knows? So a fall guy.
Yeah,
and they had to hire
the NFL fall guy for sure.
Yeah.
I thought Bobby Slowick would be
in the competition. Yeah, I think Bobby Slowick might have saw the potential of staying in Houston before he took the Carolina job.
I agree. I think Dave Canales kind of over exceeded expectations, but then the long term look in Tampa Bay just wasn't as good as what Slowick has in Houston. So
I think
stay
Canales
wait here,
obviously
dominate next year, and then potentially get a better job. So
I think Canales. I mean, Bucks offense might take a step back next year if Mike Evans is gone.
Yeah, we'll see. They have a lot of question marks.
We don't know what they're doing at quarterback.
Yeah, we don't know
if it's Baker. But then the thing that confuses me with this, and like I don't want to speculate of how good of a coach he is and how good of a head coach he's going to be.
Doesn't matter.
He signed a 6-year deal, and good for him for signing the 6-year deal, because when he loses his job halfway through the 2025 season,
halfway through next year,
he gets paid for the next 5 years. So
good on him for that contract for sure. I don't think if I was,
I wouldn't have took that job for less than 6 years.
Yeah.
I
wouldn't agree with that. That's the only way that Tepper was going to get anybody there, and this was going to be the worst job in
he has a lot to do there.
He has a quarterback has to step away and let the rebuild actually happen. You've got to have the self-awareness that your roster is dog shit. It's the worst roster in the league.
And if he fires him for the team being bad again, then he needs to be removed as owner. Yeah, because the Carolina Panthers will be completely irrelevant for the next 10 years if they don't give it time. Because they need to give them 2 to 3 years of trading back, accumulating picks, letting their player development do their thing.
It's 2 to 3 years after this year because they don't have their first round pick, so they're not going to get the big infusion of talent unless they absolutely hit with their later round picks, which isn't.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
Obviously, if they're in this draft class, probably taking Marvin Harrison. If they have their pick, they probably have Marvin Harrison.
Yeah. True. But then they don't get Bryce Young last year. So they probably end up taking a quarterback this year. Or unless they grab one later round.
They traded, 9 last year?
Yeah, 9.
I mean, so you could have had Jalen Carter last year or somebody of that caliber.
And you could have took Caleb Williams this year. Mm-hmm. And rocked with Andy Dalton last year.
Yeah. Or whoever there's some vets out there that you could look at to build around.
If they would have got rid of Baker Mayfield, they could have had Baker Mayfield running there.
Yeah.
They completely played they got, I think, a little desperate and completely played the draft wrong, and I think that's going to haunt them for a long time.
It is.
You go from Bryce Young and nobody. You could have had Jalen Carter and Caleb Williams, and then now you have Bryce Young.
Yeah, you still would have DJ Warner up.
Yeah.
It was too much.
I think the Bears benefited off them being really bad.
Yeah,
the Bears have DJ Moore. The Bears have the first pick now.
The
Bears got a good tackle last year with the 9th pick. Because they didn't have a 9th pick last year, but I think they ended up trading back again. Darnell Wright when they took Darnell Wright to tackle. Yep. So I think they took him in something like that. Because the Bears traded with the Eagles. So the Eagles can have 9.
Yep.
But yeah, so Dave Canales, I hope he does good, obviously, but I think that was a job that you're taking. That's a 2-year job.
I think it's close to a 5-year rebuild.
I'm saying 2-year job. Like he's not going to have somebody else is going to be finishing the rebuild.
At this point, honestly, as long as Tepper's there, I think that is just a constant state of rebuild.
Yeah.
But let's get into Gerard Mayo here with New England. It's probably the right hire, not the guy.
It seemed like the hire from the very beginning. They weren't planning on interviewing anybody. Yeah. Like they had in his contract that he was going to be the heir.
Yeah. They didn't interview anybody else, so that was definitely the plan going along. It's a big step. Obviously, he's never been even at DC, so he was just a position coach there. So it's obviously taking over the Bills. It's going to be tough. The roster needs a lot of work. It's not a lot of talent there. The defense is solid, but there's not really any that guy's a guy.
Yeah.
I think Christian Gonzalez is, but obviously we only seen him in a brief moment. J.C. Jackson played better there than he did in San Diego or L.A. or Las Vegas. Where the fuck am? With the Chargers.
Yeah, they're in L.A.
Jesus. But offensively, I mean, there's a bunch of mediocre, very similar receivers still on contract. Both the tight ends are free agents. Trent Brown's a free agent on the offensive line, and the rest of the offensive line didn't play that great. The running back room, I mean, Stevenson looks decent. But he's not elite, in my opinion. Defensive line's not, it's okay.
Yeah.
it's a very mediocre roster. With no star power. Obviously, Mac Jones, I don't think's the guy, but
they
for
just
some
don't.
reason,
They just don't have anybody front to back. That's just a guy. They don't.
there's
Not
no
at all.
superstars on the team.
Usually on a bad team, like on the Carolina Panthers have a superstar. Brian Burns. Usually every team has at least one guy.
Yeah.
The Patriots don't have shit.
I mean, if I had to say, Matthew Judon's probably their best player. He was hurt.
Like
He
it's
got hurt this
it's
year,
wild.
so we'll see.
Like
He's
how
getting
bad the
older.
roster is.
And he's getting older. It's not like it's not a terrible roster, but there's just no star power. There's no needle movers there, but there's no like terrible positioning.
Yeah.
It's a very average roster. It's
Right.
just with no really upside.
A very boring roster.
It is. It does kind of feel like they're going to give Mac another chance too. So we'll see what they might take Marvin Harrison Jr. I wouldn't be shocked if they took Marvin Harrison in a draft, or even Joe Alt. I wouldn't be surprised by it.
Friggin' the Cardinals just fucking vomit.
Yeah, that would ruin the Cardinals draft for sure.
I really hope Marvin Harrison doesn't end up on the Cardinals. I really don't want to see that. I don't want to see it. I do not like Kyler Murray as a coach or as a quarterback, and I don't want to see that. I don't.
Yeah, I can't say I want to see it either.
We'll see.
We'll
see what
happens. In my
happens.
opinion, I don't really see it.
I think that's where I
unless
think
the
they're
Bears
going to
do
go.
something weird at one. But
Well, I mean, I think the Bears' best scenario, if they're going to keep Justin Fields, you better trade with the Patriots or the Commanders.
if they can
Because if they do that, then they
the
got their
40
guy.
or whatever.
Then they get Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
If the Bears get Marvin Harrison, I think the Bears are set up really, really well.
Yeah, I would agree, but I really they've been really quiet on field, so I really think that means they're trading him.
Yeah.
They have not come out really and said that we're going to roll with this guy. But I think if the Falcons or something like that give you 8, which has been rumored, you do it.
You 100% do.
Yeah. Or
Because
gives you
then you're-
anything in the first round.
Yeah.
I don't know if you get more than a second. I don't even know if you can get a second,
Yeah.
but
If the Bears pick 1, 8, and 9, that's just ridiculous. They can change their team.
Yeah.
Like
offense,
obviously you get a quarterback, you get a receiver, and you get an edge rusher.
Yeah.
I think 1, 8, and 9 you can end up with Caleb Williams, either a Malik Neighbors or Roma Dunze, and a Dallas Turner-ish player.
Yeah.
Something like that. That's dream scenario.
Or
for
one
the
of the
Bears.
tackle. I mean, if
tackle.
you don't like your
Joe,
tackle,
you want to get Joe Alt?
if Oliver Fashawn is there, I think the Bears are in a good situation to really change their roster. But let's get back here to the coaches. Antonio Pierce, we talked about last week. We both agree that's the right guy.
Yeah, right guy there. Not really much
Yeah,
to talk about there.
we'll let
He's
that
going to lose
go.
the locker room.
Yeah, Max probably set him out if you don't hire him. So that speaks well for him. Brian Callahan to the Titans.
It seemed I didn't see the Titans really going after a big fish, big name guy. I think they were going to get that guy because of the state of the roster. Callahan's been talked about and been interviewed the last couple years. Obviously, he's done some good things there in Cincinnati. But Cincinnati, he had one of the better quarterbacks in the league and one of the better receiving cores in the league.
Callahan's been blessed with really good quarterbacks pretty much as well. I mean, he's worked with Peyton Manning, Stafford, Burrow. Doesn't have that.
Doesn't have it.
I
So
mean,
we'll see what he's made of.
Maybe Will Levis is the guy.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. We'll see what he's made of at least. And obviously, I mean, they're picking 7, so we'll see what they do in the draft.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. I'm kind of mute on the pick. It seems like a decent hire. Doesn't really move the needle one way or another for me.
I think they're going to build offensive line there, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I think they're probably might be in play for a receiver or maybe a guy like Pete Higgins or something like that joins in there in free agency or Tyler Boyd. He brings one of his wide out there because they do need a wide out real bad. So I mean we'll see. A little shocked that Vrabel hasn't really been in the running for a head coaching job this year either. Kind of crazy that Vrabel and Belichick both didn't get hired. Yeah. Let's move on to the Falcons and Raheem Morris. I like
very good player there, or not player.
Very good
choice there. I think
my second pick there. I thought that was the perfect spot for Ben Johnson.
Yeah,
just with the offensive talent they have. But I do like Raheem Morris, and I think it's time that he really steps up and shows what he can do as a head coach.
And he gets a second chance with the Falcons now.
Yes.
So I mean, he was the interim coach after they got rid of their coach, and then they end up going with the Arthur Smith hire instead. So he gets a second chance there because he was the interim coach there at one point. So
Yeah, so
LA.
he's familiar with the team, and that's a roster that's built to go. So I do like it.
Yeah. He's going to get that defense right. Obviously, you got to get the right offensive coordinator in there to get the stuff going. I could see somebody like Kellen Moore or maybe an Eric Bieniemy there to kind of finish out his staff.
Kingsbury.
I would like that.
I think so.
I think Kingsbury. That's depending on who they get. If the Falcons are going to go after Justin Fields, Kingsbury I think would be a very good fit for offensive coordinator there, like a college-esque offense. The young guys they got there, I think that'd be a pretty good fit for them. But yeah, Kingsbury. I saw Kingsbury maybe interviewing for the Eagles job too.
Yes,
I saw that. I saw Bieniemy rumors for the Eagles job.
Bieniemy, I think, would be the smart pick for them. But we'll see what they do. But that'll